But isn't it a non-trivial issue when the Democratic presidential frontrunner makes what appears to be dismissive remarks toward people who are religious or have guns? I mean, we can debate how important it is, but it's not a trivial issue, is it?
No, absolutely not. No, you know, it's not fun to watch your guy get hammered and flub every answer, which is that one of the revealing things about this is that Obama could have known, and in fact really should have known, that a whole bunch of these questions were going to come up. And, you know, asked a simple question by one person on the street, why aren't you wearing a flag pin? You can say very simple, I demonstrate my flag. I demonstrate my patriotism.
She said, "Do you love the American flag?"
Come on. No, she didn't. She talking to the EMS workers and the soldiers and everybody else does.
Pull up that clip. She specifically said about loving. Why do you love the American flag? Was the question.
Well, we do have the clip, and interestingly, this was
pretty sure. Wasn't that what she said?
A woman. Well, let's find out. Yeah. This is a woman named Nash McCabe who had been quoted in the New York Times a couple of weeks earlier as saying she couldn't vote for Obama because he would not wear a flag pin. If you've got that, let's roll it.
Senator Obama, I have a question, and I want to know if you believe in the American flag. I am not questioning your patriotism, but all our servicemen, policemen, and EMS wear the flag. I want to know why you don't.
Yeah, do you believe in the American flag? I'm sorry. Yes, really important question.
I'm shaking my head because this ABC was hiding behind the so-called person on the street interview. I teach my students about this. You know, you go out and you grab someone at random on the street and you interview them. That's what you do when all else fails and you need a soundbite. Clearly, they picked this person on purpose because she'd been quoted attacking Obama in the past and used that as a shield to hide behind.
I was going to say, Howard, if the candidate can't handle that, it says a great deal more about the candidate than the questioner or the network.
Well, Obama did not have a great night. But let me read something, because ABC did not make anyone available for this program, but I interviewed ABC correspondent Jake Tapper, and he said the following: by any empirical standard, many members of the media don't seem to want to ask Senator Obama tough questions, and Senator Obama doesn't seem to want to answer them. This is the 21st debate. It is the only one where people have complained that the moderators were tougher on Barack Obama than on Hillary Clinton or any other candidate. How on earth is that possible?
You guys, again, we're getting to this crazy concept of the only hard question you can ask is something bizarre about whether you love America. That you can't, you can't ask Obama a hard question about health care. There's been a debate as to whether...
Hasn't he been asked those questions again and again?
Well, maybe you can put his foot to the floor and kind of say, well, Mr. Obama, people say that Hillary's plan covers more people. You keep saying it doesn't. We've got an expert here saying blah, blah. Answer the damn question. I mean, it's as if we can't have hard questions on substance anymore. What is journalism for?
The media has been much harder on Hillary Clinton than it has been on Obama throughout the campaign.
You know what?
And so maybe this tilted unfavorably one night, but as a whole,
I myself wrote for a year. Up until November of this year, I wrote and said, Obama, nice guy, he ain't going to be president, it's going to be Hillary. We reached out to Hillary's people as a blogger 2 years ago because we said, look, you're going to be president, we should talk. For a year, the media said this guy had zero chance she was inevitable. For 3 months now, maybe they've been nice to him. I'd say 3 months versus 12 months, she's still ahead.
Well, all right, rather than relitigate that, there's one other issue I want to get to, and that is the question I think we played earlier of George Stephanopoulos asking Obama about his casual association with Bill Ayers. This is the guy who was the weather underground radical who had been involved in plotting bombings in the 70s, never apologized for that. Sean Hannity took credit for this because he had suggested this to Stephanopoulos on Hannity's radio show. Take a look.
The only time he's ever been asked about his association with Bill Ayers, the unrepentant terrorist from the weather underground, who on 9/11 of all days in the New York Times was saying, I don't regret setting bombs. I don't think we did enough. Is that a question you might ask?
Well, I'm taking notes right now.
Now, Stephanopoulos told me that, that this had been on his radar screen for weeks, and he didn't get the question from Hannity. But regardless, is it a legitimate thing to ask a presidential candidate about?
Absolutely. Very few of us have someone in our social circle who tried to blow up the Pentagon. Now, obviously, you can argue about how close Obama was to him. This isn't like this is necessarily his best friend or his mentor, but it's one of those things where, look, this is not something I think average Americans relate to. And if you ran into William Ayers, you kind of look, could you shake his hand? Could you smile at him? Could you interact with him?
Would I ask him that question?
Is it a legitimate question for a journalist to ask?
You know, maybe it is. Part of the problem with Stephanopoulos is he's a political operative. I mean, that's how we know him. He got his start in the Clinton White House.
He was a political operative.
He was, but that taint carries with it. So what we don't know with a guy like Stephanopoulos, you know, I think if Charles Gibson had been on that show and Sean Hannity had suggested it, Charles Gibson would have blown off the question. But Stephanopoulos, perhaps having to compensate for working in the Clinton White House, wants to show he's tough on Democrats, and he asked a question that is a little far afield.
So because George Stephanopoulos left the Clinton White House in 1996, worked with Hillary along with Bill, you feel that he has an appearance problem or an actual problem?
An appearance problem. He may not even like Hillary Clinton, but everyone is suspect about his motives.
The interesting thing about the heirs question, let's just say, you know, let's say Jim is right or people are right saying, yeah, you could ask him about this if you want. Okay, if you're going to ask the question to Obama, then you should at least ask the question to both candidates and say, Mr. Obama, you know, you knew this guy, you met him or whatever, what's the story? Then you turn to Mrs. Clinton and say, your own husband pardoned people who were a member of the same terrorist group. So what's your connection to this, and why did your husband pardon? Why would you attack Obama for something that your own husband seemed to exonerate? At least ask the question, but for some reason these questions kept being Obama, but not Hillary. Why doesn't Obama have a flag, but Hillary's not wearing a flag either, but that doesn't come up?
Obama did make the point in response that President Clinton
But it should be the journalist, but the journalist should be the objective person, not the candidate.
All right, let me get a break here. When we come back,